And now, more details about this information will follow shortly. And now we move on to Paris, where, let me remind you, today there is a joint press conference of the presidents of Ukraine and France following their meeting and the signing of intergovernmental agreements. So all attention is on Paris right now. There are Emmanuel Macron and Volodymyr Zelenskyy.
As in belonging to him. You are collecting his. The second thing we need to consider is the parade later between Perm and Lviv. Perm, Lviv, the Kremlin, according to the fact that they also hold information about the physical and fundamental priorities between international borders. Connecting the third case, which has already been determined, we need to preserve Altenburg, Gore, AGSE, and integrate the contract with New York, which covers 55 hectares, and maintain attention for the enterprise.
The French party is represented by Mr. Poruku, partner president and general department director. The Ukrainian party by Mr. Oleksandr Kutaltovsky, president director of the general department of the Ukrainian Federation of Ukraine.
Now, we are going to have a conversation, but I think I need to respond first. The third term states the agreement between Mykolaiv Transport and JSC Ukrainian Railways for contracts to supply 55 electric locomotives, resulting in a renewed decision to continue cooperation. Signed by the General Director of JSC Ukrainian Railways, Mr. Mykolaivsky, and the General Director of JSC Ukrainian Railways, Mr. Menyuk.
This repair has already been completed. You may answer the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I sincerely thank you for your attention and your leadership. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We saw that certain documents were presented to journalists, which were signed today between the countries. Let me just remind you that among them there is a historic agreement, as the presidents of Ukraine and France signed a declaration on strengthening the defense of our state during Volodymyr Zelenskyy's visit to Paris. A document was signed that concerns cooperation in the area of Ukraine acquiring defense equipment. The details of the agreement will be revealed later, possibly even today during the press conference. However, the day before, the president of Ukraine announced that the upcoming contract would provide for a significant strengthening of our combat aviation, air defense, and other defense capabilities. And according to Reuters, this concerns a 10-year strategic agreement in the field of aviation, which will provide for the delivery of Rafale multi-role fighter jets to Kyiv. Some of these may be supplied from French reserves. The agency also reports on another agreement regarding additional air defense systems, along with missiles and counter-drone systems. And we also saw that among the signed agreements, there was one signed with the participation of the leadership of Ukrainian Railways. So we are also waiting for more details about this to come later. And right now, TSN correspondent Irina Kondrachuk is tracking more information about the president's trip to Europe and its main objectives. She will tell us more details right now.
The European tour of the president and the Ukrainian delegation continues. Today we are in Paris. It all started yesterday in Greece. In particular, an agreement was signed for the supply of gas from the south, that is, from Greece to the north, meaning Ukraine, specifically to Odessa. This gas transmission route will already be launched, with gas deliveries to Ukraine starting as early as January 2026. All of this is to cover the deficit we have due to the constant Russian attacks on Ukraine's gas infrastructure. We
today signed an agreement with the Greek state company for the supply of gas to Ukraine through the vertical corridor in the first quarter of 2026. That is, this is exactly the period when we need to replace our own production, which Russian terrorists have destroyed, with imported gas.
And in particular, this agreement with Greece, as well as others in the energy sector that are yet to be signed, will cover this deficit and ensure we get through this winter. Zelenskyy has already called it one of the toughest and the most challenging in terms of threats. We will get through the winter, and in order to secure the Ukrainian region and our front line, we came to France with requests for air defense systems and fighter jets. We already have information that Zelenskyy shared in an exclusive comment for a French channel, that regarding 100 multi-role fighter jets, it is likely that an agreement has been signed and Ukraine will purchase them from Paris. Also, throughout the day, there will be more meetings as part of the president's program. It is scheduled down to the minute until the very evening. We will hear
from Irina Kondrachuk a little later with an update. She is working in Paris. And there, let me remind you, the briefing of Presidents Macron and Zelenskyy is ongoing. And I suggest we listen to what is happening there right now.
Today, only Russia has decided to continue this war and even intensify it.
Since May, you have consistently demonstrated your genuine willingness to move towards a ceasefire. And all that can be said, all the efforts of recent months, everything is ready to move towards this ceasefire. Only Russia continues the war. And the intensification of strikes on Ukraine's critical infrastructure is yet another addition. The attack on the civilian population that we are witnessing today is clear proof that Russia is actively pursuing a specific goal, to take control of your territory and to do so without acting according to the obligations and commitments it has undertaken. And when Russia claims that it wants peace and blames others for allegedly standing in its way, the reality is that no one believes these statements anymore. Russia is the primary agent of this war. And today, this dependence, one could even say Russia's addictive dependence on war, compels us as a global community to become more determined and focused on peace. And this peace is something that all of us Europeans must create together. We must not leave any opportunity or effort unused, together with all our European partners, with all the member countries of the Coalition of the Willing, which we initiated here in Paris in February, with the United States, and with all countries of goodwill who believe in the values of the UN Charter and who take their responsibilities for upholding order seriously. And we demonstrated this in the morning during the first two important moments of your visit, this determination. First, at the airbase in Villacoublay, we signed a declaration of intent regarding Ukraine's acquisition of defense equipment. We base this declaration on strengthening our cooperation in the field of defense in the context of Russia's aggressive war, as well as on our commitment from the very first day of the war to help Ukraine defend itself, to strengthen its army and defense capabilities within various coalitions led by us, in which we have actively participated. Whether it's in the field of artillery, air defense, strengthening the Air Force, Mirages, or Caesars. This is the foundation of this cooperation. Now we are moving to a new step towards bringing our defense industries closer together and integrating them in order to support Ukraine, to modernize their armed forces, which remain the first line of defense, and to deter aggression. We will do this in the long term. And we also understand that the regeneration of the Ukrainian armed forces is in fact our own defense capability. That is why we have started such bilateral cooperation and are planning for the next 10 years in terms of forecasting and developing the production of UAVs, UAV interceptors, and guided bombs. And this concerns deliveries that we are planning both in the 2-year perspective and for the next 10 years. Next, regarding the acquisition of new air defense systems, specifically of the latest generation. Currently, this is still in development, but we have agreed that this very development can be the first to be deployed in Ukraine and operate in Ukraine. Ukraine is already familiar with the specifications of this system, but now these will be new, enhanced specifications. And next, one more step. This concerns about 100 Rafale aircraft with full armament. And this is already an additional step. After the Mirage 2000 aircraft were delivered and pilot training for the Mirages was conducted, the new step now is the acquisition of 100 Rafale aircraft, along with corresponding crew and pilot training programs. So our bilateral cooperation will be further strengthened, and we will also work to enhance the important aspect of joint production in Ukraine, so does. In particular, this includes the production of advanced UAVs and specialized drone interceptors. After this, we will have a separate event. An event, specifically a significant forum dedicated to unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, was held. This gathering marks a defining moment, a pivotal point that will shape our future success in the years to come. Today, we clearly see that we are able to use and harness our joint potential for the benefit of Ukraine and for the whole of Europe. As part of this visit, we also together visited the headquarters of the multinational coalition forces in support of Ukraine. This headquarters has been operating for several weeks already, located near Paris under the command of France and the United Kingdom. This headquarters is the result of our work on security guarantees within the coalition of the willing. I would like to remind you that it is France and the United Kingdom who are leading this coalition of the willing. We have developed a plan, and there are also 60 planning integrators involved. They are already working and based in Paris as of today, and they are coordinating specific contributions to the coalition's work on forces. The goal is to deploy forces to ensure the security of areas distant from the line of contact after a ceasefire, as well as to support Ukraine in regeneration and the restoration of the armed forces of Ukraine in order to prevent and counter the possibility of new aggression. I would therefore like to emphasize that we are ready, that everything is proceeding according to plan, and at Christmas we plan to move to a new stage in the deployment process. Our visit also confirms that our support is not limited to the military sphere. All the agreements we signed today, as well as the work of the coalition, are already laying the groundwork for us to continue and support Ukraine far into the future. But again, our support is not limited to the military sphere. It also has a civil, economic, and humanitarian dimension. A whole range of intergovernmental agreements were signed to strengthen bilateral cooperation in a number of strategic sectors. And the resumption of the work of the Bilateral Support Fund for Critical Infrastructure was also activated in particular to support the energy sector. I also welcome the signing of a contract between Alstom and Ukrainian Railways worth 475 million euros for the supply of 55 locomotives, financed by the EBRD and the World Bank, which will be manufactured in Belfort, France, is a concrete and tangible manifestation of our enduring long-term economic and strategic partnership, which is dedicated to supporting a key player in the ongoing effort to strengthen Ukraine's resilience in the face of current challenges. We also, once again, reaffirmed and emphasized the urgent need to create the necessary conditions for a ceasefire, as well as a just, fair, and lasting peace that will benefit all parties involved. And we must act in two directions: strengthening support for Ukraine, increasing pressure on Russia so that it agrees to peace. At the European level, we continue to work on meeting Ukraine's financial needs for the next 2 years, as was promised by the European Council on October 23rd. Discussions regarding the reparations loan are ongoing. There is a path that complies with international law, and we continue to work on ensuring risk sharing with our international partners, particularly within the framework of the G7. We are also working on the terms of our support, particularly regarding the use of funds that should contribute to supporting Ukraine's military and defense efforts, strengthening the integration of the European and Ukrainian industrial and defense bases, with clear criteria for European preference. Support for Ukraine's budget expenditures must be accompanied by the attachment of appropriate conditions. This is exactly how the EU can and should continue to provide Ukraine with predictable and stable long-term financial support. We will achieve this, including, if necessary, by seeking new ways, as we have already done in other cases. So, this is support for Ukraine and a signal that we are not getting tired. There is no fatigue among Europeans. We are also firmly determined to continue strengthening sanctions against Russia in cooperation with the United States in order to weaken its ability to continue military actions. This also concerns the Russian Phantom Fleet, against which we continue to mobilize and strive to improve the coordination of our actions in order to disrupt its operations. In conclusion, I would like to once again emphasize that Ukraine belongs to the European family, not only geographically, but also through its values, history, and courage. The path to the European Union will be difficult and will require significant effort and deep reforms, particularly in the areas of rule of law, transparency, governance, and the fight against corruption. But I believe in the determination of the Ukrainian people to see these reforms through to the end, and I trust President Zelenskyy to make it happen. France will support this process with consistency, high standards, trust, and openness, because a strong, democratic Ukraine integrated into the European Union will also make Europe itself stronger. Dear Volodymyr's esteemed President, I want to tell you, and through you, the Ukrainian people, that France stands by your side. Together with our partners, we continue to act for the sake of peace, a just and lasting peace that is in accordance with international law and ensures the security of a sovereign, independent, free, and European Ukraine. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being in Paris again.
Thank you, dear Emmanuel. First of all, thank you. Glory for your support, and you are with Ukraine. From the very beginning, I have been very grateful to you. Ukraine, Ukrainians, everyone respects France and the French people. Thank you once again for all the support provided by the states. And you personally, which you have demonstrated since the beginning of this war and in everyday life, no matter what. Thank you. Distinguished guests, esteemed and respected journalists, ladies and gentlemen, dear and beloved France, you know, I am truly grateful and deeply appreciative to the President that France, this valued and dedicated nation, is with Ukraine. Your incredible support and unwavering commitment means so much to us, and I want to express my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you. Ukraine is not alone now, not by itself in its defense. And that is precisely why we can count on ending this war, because we have friends with us. France is our friend and will help ensure a truly worthy end to the war. Putin has been waging war against Ukrainians for many years. Years of hybrid war, years of full-scale war. Russia has many resources and in general counts its human losses, delivering constant strikes. But we are doing everything to have protection. France and all of free Europe are with us. The United States and other countries around the world are helping us. From Canada to Asian countries, from Japan to Latin American countries, we have created one of the largest coalitions for the defense of life. And I thank Emmanuel for this and all our partners. Such strong coalitions as there once were, which had never existed before this moment. Ukrainians gave this unifying impulse, precisely this kind of impulse. In Europe and elsewhere in the world, and we are receiving assistance thanks to this. Unity works. That's exactly why we are able to shoot down Russian missiles, why we can stop Russian assaults on the front lines every day. We are restoring our energy sector. It is very hard for us, very difficult, but we are rebuilding all of it, our infrastructure, when Russia destroys it. And most importantly, we are also giving hope to other nations, that Russia will not succeed in making war a new norm, deportation and abuse of people. Ukraine is not alone in its defense, not by itself, not isolated, and France knows very well how much this means to us, and how important it is that such words were spoken for France on June 18th, 1940 by General de Gaulle, and that it worked. Defenders of life must never be alone, and I thank you, Emmanuel, that France's support is always effective, entirely practical, and truly gives us strength, gives us hope. Today, our meeting adds exactly such elements to our defense, effective, practical, and strong elements. Prepared for youth and being signed today, important documents about a significant strengthening of our defense capabilities. And first, Ukraine will be able to receive 100 Rafale 4 aircraft, very powerful French radars, 8 SAMP T air defense systems, each with 6 launchers. These are details, perhaps technical details for some, but for us, they are important. Each launcher means protection for every life. This is extremely important. Missiles and guided bombs necessary for our defense. I want to emphasize the importance of this agreement. This is a strategic agreement that will be in effect for 10 years starting next year. We understand all the foundations of this agreement, political, financial, and industrial.